this Gang of Eight plan, long awaited, as you said, border security, the path to citizenship, getting most of the attention here in Washington. But for many in the business community, the proposal to update the H1B Visa program, arguably the single most important part of the new immigration bill. It is also, many supporters say, the change that could have the biggest immediate impact on the U.S. economy if it becomes law. Now, the Gang of Eight plan, let me walk you through it. It would allow companies to hire more educated and skilled foreigners for jobs they are having a hard time finding Americans to fill right now. But there are some details that not everyone in the tech sector may like in the legislation. The number of H1B visas will more than double to a cap of 180,000 a year from the current 65,000 cap. Now, that cap will start at 110,000. It will rise from there depending on demand and economic conditions. To crack down on H1B abusers, companies that use the program extensively will have to pay as much as $10,000 per worker in fees. The legislation also allows for 250,000 merit-based visas a year for people with particular talents, and there will also be a new visa for foreign entrepreneurs who want to start a business in the U.S. and, of course, hire Americans in the process. The H-1B changes are a central part of the legislation, one of the many compromises the bipartisan group of senators had to work out. Expect others to now try and tweak this legislation. If the entire bill gets blocked, of course, the H-1B changes will go away as well. And joining me here in Washington to discuss the visa changes, this legislation, is Michael McGarry. He's the co-founder and executive director of Engine Advocacy, a Silicon Valley group lobbying for immigration reform and tech issues here in Washington. He will be testifying this week before the House Small Business Committee. First of all, Michael, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me here.
Your first takeaway on the H-1B visa changes proposed by the Gang of Eight, does it go far enough?
Well, obviously, we're encouraged by what the Gang of Eight's come out with in the Senate. We still have to see the House proposal as well to see where the debate really is going to lie on this. And I think that there's still entrepreneurial approaches to immigration that we'd like to see as part of the final package when we get the read on the final bill here. But having the sort of market-based approach on this and looking at expanding the amount of H-1Bs at any level is good. Obviously, we just went through a scenario where we had 65,000 visas and more than 124,000 applications, and that was a lottery. You know, it was a coin flip whether or not you could take it. Fill it up in 5 days.
2014.
That's right.
The kind of demand for these programs.
So any new access to these kind of visas are good, and we're encouraged by that. We're also looking to see what else is in the Senate proposal. We want to go through it, and we'll be providing full readout on that for our members going forward. But it's an encouraging step for sure.
An encouraging step, but this is also controversial. As you know, there are going to be people who look at this and say, why are we allowing in high-skilled foreigners for these jobs? Can't we find Americans to fill these positions? What's the response to that? Because there will be some in Congress who will oppose this.
Absolutely. And, you know, there's two things at play here. The first is in many cases, these people are already here. They're learning at our universities. They're at the University of Texas in Austin, or they're at Stanford or MIT or University of Kansas, and all over the country learning and studying in STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics disciplines, and they want to stay and start businesses here. And where other countries have really hung out the welcome sign for them, the way we used to at Ellis Island and Angel Island for decades, you know, now we're sending these people back home or to Canada or Chile or South Korea, where, you know, a lot of these countries, like I say, are really hanging out the welcome sign. So it's about keeping them here and wanting to make it just a little easier for them to start and run these, you know, small to medium-sized and growing high-tech entrepreneurial businesses here in America, because that'll help power economic growth. We're able to show, we've just released a study called Technology Works, and as part of that, we show that not only are high-tech job growth and wages, you know, continuing to stay high through recessions and what have you, but we're creating a multiplicative effect in communities, and not just Silicon Valley and New York, but where high-tech job growth is happening all across the country, even right here in Washington, and in cities and towns all around the country. That is 4.3 non-tradable sector jobs created for every job that's created in a high-tech concern and in a startup. And that is absolutely imperative to continuing the growth trajectory of the American economy going forward in the next few years.
Now, this is, as I mentioned, there will be some critics to this, but this does have a lot of bipartisan support. This is, if you will, the least controversial part of immigration reform. How worried are you that this is going to get caught in the crossfire of all those other issues?
Well, what we're hopeful about, and why we're encouraging our members to continue to take action, you know, at engine.is, you know, our website, and through things like the March for Innovation, which is being put on by the Partnership for New American Economy that we work very closely with, and other organizations that have done good work on this, is because we need to help legislators understand the vital nature of what our businesses do for the economy on a national scale and also on a local scale, and to show that that kind of continued growth will only be powered by making sure we've got enough people to fill the jobs we're already creating. And that's going to involve keeping people here that are already getting the best education in the world at American universities and making sure they have the opportunity to start businesses and help power American economic growth.